Well, I think the opening statement right now is our guys are just really excited to be at home. We only got a chance to wrestle Hilton once at the end of the 2022 beginning of our season. So getting a chance to be home at 1 o'clock both days on Saturday and Sunday is exciting. And we had a few guys that just got back from the Southern Scuffle, so we got a few guys were resting in a quick turnaround, but then we got the majority of them that here that had a pretty good long training period. And I know we're tired of training and ready to wrestle, so I'll open it up to you all.
What do you feel like you've accomplished via the Scuffle? Obviously, a lot of your quote-unquote top guys didn't go for a variety of reasons, but you had a lot of guys who were really competing and scrapping and got on the podium.
I think the guys that we sent, we were pretty intentional in just trying to get a lot of matches. So, guys that we know that are, right now, assuming that we can stay healthy, we got a competition at 133 between Zach Redding and Ramazan Adesayov, and both those guys got a lot of matches. Redding might be a notch ahead right now, but not many notches. It's still kind of that weight class is probably the one weight class it's up for grabs. Julian ended up placing. Felt like he, maybe could have had a better last day, but the fact that he got a lot of matches is good. And obviously 174, he's our guy. At 57, I think we keep getting better. Probably not what we exactly wanted, but in terms of the matches, it was what we wanted. So those are the three weights that kind of stick out to me. If I'm missing any, I think those are the three weights that we were really sending guys that we know that are going to contribute to us, right away this weekend again.
Talk about Pinheiro, just his emergence this season, kind of as went from unranked to now he's, I think, 3 consensus across the board.
Well, Pinheiro, we always knew that he had the ability. I think a lot of people know his story. He came last year as a gray shirt and was in the room quite a bit off and on. Had the luxury of being a gray shirt, which means basically you can come and go as you please. And he learned a lot. He took some beatings, as we say in the wrestling world, but there was never a lack of confidence. And so it's funny, I really saw him ramp up in late October, like, wow, this guy's excited for the season. And I really noticed him just doing the right things away from the room. And I could see just by the way he came in, what he was weighing, that he was really serious about it. And so now we see a guy that's pretty competitive. I mean, I think he's ranked 3rd in the nation, and he thinks he should be ranked 1st in the nation. And that's the beauty of Pinheiro. He thinks he should be 1st all the time.
You say he took some beatings. I assume last year you guys like Ian Parker, Jarrett Dagan, around his weight. Did those beatings come from those guys, or?
Yeah, I mean, he got, he's still a guy that needs to figure out the practice room a little bit. There's some guys out there that are just gamers that when you turn the lights on, they wrestle at a whole nother level. That's Pinheiro. So some days in practice, he's a little so-so. He's a lot more consistent than he was, even in September. I mean, that's how quickly he's turned around his practice game. And I've been in his ear a lot, and I'm saying you can't just, you can't fake it in here and then expect to go across the street to Hilton and kick everybody's butt. We got to see some signs in here. We got to see you being able to survive in here and getting through the conditioning. He had a really hard time doing that when he first got here. So we see a guy that's pretty motivated right now.
And last week you gave a lot of injury updates. How are guys like Casey Swiderski, Kyson Terrakina, and Sam Schuyler doing?
Well, it's Wednesday, and tomorrow's our day off, and Friday's just kind of our easy day to get ready for Saturday and Sunday because we have 2 matches in a row. And if we can get through today, Casey's doing great, Pinheiro's doing great, Sam Schuyler's doing great. We kind of rested Coleman and Younger and Carr, and those guys are doing great. So we got mission accomplished so far. We haven't had a lot of luck with injuries, so I'm not going to start bragging.
How's Kyson doing?
Kyson's coming along. He wrestled a couple days this week. He's not going to go this weekend. He's a maybe for Utah Valley. We'll just see how he progresses, but he wrestled a couple days this week, and he's got a shoulder brace on, but seems to be doing good. And so we'll just kind of see how he handles the training. We let him go. I think his family went to Las Vegas instead of Hawaii, but I think he enjoyed like every buffet that they offer in Las Vegas. And what else he did at night, we're not quite sure, but he came back really happy and really chubby. So we're working on that right now. But he was really happy. So
When you can't wrestle for a while, you got to take advantage of it, right?
Kyson's good at that.
Arizona State obviously is the marquee matchup of this weekend. You've had a lot of these matchups with Penn State, Iowa, just a lot of really good dual meets this year. Wisconsin, throw them in there.
Cornell.
Absolutely, Cornell. The list keeps going on. How much does this prepare you for March?
I think it's a great schedule. I mean, we haven't even talked about Missouri and Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and UNI, which are all, Oklahoma State, Missouri, and UNI. They're all in the top 12 right now, or 15. So we got a schedule set up for us to really, I think, really succeed at the end of the year. A lot of tough opponents, and so look what Panero's wrestled already. He's wrestled the number 1, the number 2. This guy's like the number 6. He's getting a lot of really good touches. So I like it. I like a tough schedule, and they can't say the Cyclones are ducking anybody. That's for sure.
When you got here, your team probably wasn't equipped to face a schedule like this. Now they are. What's been, I guess, maybe that moment you realized we're here, we're ready to compete?
I think we saw signs of that last year. We had a really good dual meet season. We were 15-1. We didn't probably wrestle the strength of schedule that we do this year. I know we didn't get to Cornell and we didn't get to Penn State, and I don't think we got the Arizona State. I think we got COVIDed out just that one weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But so we didn't get the same strength of schedule that we got this year. So I started seeing some signs of that last year. We saw some signs, and then you bring in a superstar freshman class, and you kind of throw them to the wolves, and some of them are responding.
And there's still another step to go. How do you foresee the program reaching that point?
Well, that's the step we want to take, and you talk about it a lot, and you prepare for it a lot, and you strive for it. And I know we got a lot of guys that are really competitive. We talk about guys wrestling, in their body of work all season long to get the number 1 and the number 2 seeds, not only at the Big 12 championships but at the NCAA championships. So your body of work is what gets you the number 1 or 2 or 3 seed at the NCAA tournament. So why not strive for that? So we talk about that a lot.
What's your message to Sam Schuyler facing Colton Schultz, who has been historically, he's proven himself to be one of the best guys, but he's taken a few losses this year?
No, Colton Schultz is, I think he was ranked number 1 a couple weeks ago, and he's very capable of being a number 1 guy at the end of the year. So, you don't 1, 5, 4, whatever the heck. He's going to be a really tough opponent for Sam. But Sam's a different guy this year. The old Sam got here last year, might have taken a little bit of a backseat to him. He's not that guy anymore, so he's really excited about that.
What changed for Sam?
I think just being around a lot of guys and that think at a high level. He went to a smaller school, and he probably didn't have a lot of guys that were that competitive, and not taking anything away from him. But when you get an environment of a bunch of guys that are super competitive in everything they do, running, weightlifting, playing games, whatever, I think it rubs off on you, and I think he sees he belongs at that level now.
I guess I'll just ask one more about Panero. He didn't win a state championship in high
No,
school.
I never even got to state finals, but that tells you how tough Pennsylvania is too.
Yeah, so just how crazy, I guess, on top of it being Pennsylvania, how crazy is it for a guy that doesn't win a state title to make this fast of a jump?
It's unusual, but probably can only happen in the state of Pennsylvania. This might make the Iowa high school folks mad, but there's no comparison to the level of high school wrestling in Pennsylvania anywhere else in the United States. And so you're going to see all kinds of guys that got 3rd and 4th place in the Pennsylvania State Championship wrestling for national titles. That's just that's not that uncommon. It's happening already.
Has Panero surprised you in the way he's shown up in his preparation and his growth, or was this something you saw of him?
He surprised me. He has. I mean, I knew the potential was there, but there's a lot of potential sitting in that room that aren't as committed in every room, not just our room. And there's a lot of talented guys across the nation. So when you get a guy that really buys in at all levels and then has that just kind of that God-given gift of confidence, and that's the X factor with Panero, is he's got that. And I think you're going to talk to him today. If you interviewed him for 45 minutes, he'd stay here for 45 minutes and tell you how great he is. 44 of them.
What would the other minute be?
Probably something I did to him. Did something to him.
And then we do talk a lot about, Panero, Swiderski, but guys like Younger, Carr, Coleman, and even Sam, regardless of his injuries, how have you seen them really step up, and how do you see them continuing to improve and move forward?
the exciting thing about this team is there's a lot of guys that are, you know, we got 5 guys ranked in the top 5 right now. That's just a ranking, so it doesn't mean anything, but it is a way to keep score right now, and I think it's important to keep score, just because if you're going to compete, you got to keep score. And so any of those guys that you mentioned have the capability of really having a nice finish to the year. We got a lot of guys that are superstars right now, I think, and could really make March fun.